Okay, so this is again a pretty short lecture, but I think this is very important. I really believe the proposal arguments, while it may be useful to know this while you're in college, this or at least being able to create effective proposal arguments can end up being very useful in your career. And if you happen to at some point get interested in your local politics, like city politics or county politics, being able to make a strong proposal argument can be very useful for you. So, as it says here, forcing them to do what you want. So, an example of this would be Rochester Hills and Rochester have a problem with deer. The more we build into their domains, they're coming into our domains. And so there needs to be some type of solution. And so a proposal argument would argue for a solution to that. Or more relevant to at this moment is we need to open up the economy again. We need to bring people back to work, but we need to do it in a manner that we don't see a huge surge in coronavirus cases where the hospitals are once again being overrun and we have to lock down again. I mean, that's the last thing we want. So people are coming up with proposal arguments about how to do that and how to do that most effectively. So again, this is not just something for school. Proposal arguments uh, can help you in all sorts of areas. So the whole purpose of it is saying that someone should do something or someone should stop doing something, right? And what you need to be able to do is convince your reader of the appropriate action that you're actually proposing. And you need to also convince them that the action is urgently needed and that there will be a positive outcome. Now, an example of having to get people to understand it's urgently needed is scientists back in the 70s and 80s were screaming about climate change. However, they did not do it in a manner because they're scientists. They they unfortunately just expect people, oh, these are the facts, and then they expect people to react, in a logical manner to the facts. They did not make it urgent enough. And I still don't think they're making it urgent enough. And so their proposals kind of just got shoved under the carpet. Nobody cared about it. So you have to understand that you have to make your audience care about the topic, and you have to make them think this is an urgent issue that needs to be taken care of. All right. So the components of the argument itself, you have to define the issue. And it's at this point where you're defining the issue that you have to convince your audience that the problem is real and that it's important, that it needs to be taken care of. Then you show why your solution is the best solution. Now, at this point, as we talked about counter arguments, where people have an argument against what you have to say and then you have to then rebut it, in a proposal argument, you may address two, three other solutions and then show why your solution is better than each of those. You may not just have this single counter argument. May be a few solutions that have also been proposed, and you have to show that yours is better uh, than either of them. All right. And you have to show that it's feasible. That it's actually possible. So I had a student who wanted, and thank God I talked her out of it. She wanted to write a paper that said anyone that breaks the law should go to prison for life. All right, think about that for a second. Is that feasible? I mean, is there anybody in the class who hasn't broken the speed limit at some time in their car? So you would end up having everybody in prison and there wouldn't be anybody to run the prison. So it's not feasible. Make sure it's feasible. So a lot of times with things like climate change, one of the problems is or one of the arguments against a lot of the proposal is the economic impact. Normally, it's not a valid argument; can easily be disproven. Uh, but you have to think about that. These are the arguments against that. All right. So then, when you're writing the proposal, you make your claim, then you identify the problem, you propose, and at that point, why this is urgent. You propose your solution, you consider other solutions, so this is your rebuttal phrase. And like I said, it's a little different than other types of arguments in that you may have to take on a couple of different proposals and rebut each one. Then you write your draft, revise, edit, proofread, just like you do for any other paper. All right, so I said this would be short. I was pretty short, but again, I would get very good at this. Being able to create a convincing, effective proposal argument can be very, very useful, especially in a career. You may find yourself in a boardroom of some corporation you're working for that they have this issue, and if you're the guy or the woman who can lay forth the solution to the problem, your career takes off. The person that can't make a decent proposal argument is the one whose career won't take off because he or she doesn't convince the board that this needs to be done. All right, that's that.